Hi class, this is going to be a short tutorial on how to get started using the GDP software that we're going to be using this semester in BUSN 121. Okay, hopefully you've taken a look at the Intro to La Lima and how to register in GDP video. Hopefully you took a look at that first. And so what you can do now is when you're ready to go ahead and start actually using GDP, you just go to the website, which is kauaicc.gdp11.com, and then you can come up here to your username, and this is the information that you got the email. You should have gotten an email from GDP with your username and your password. Okay, your username is going to be the same as your UH user ID, but your oh, no, that's not exactly true. It might be, depending on what your UH user ID is, but the password is something completely different. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log in here. It's a little bit slow. It's getting there. I think. It's trying. Okay, here we go. Let me size my screen a little bit. Okay. Sorry, that took a little bit long, a little while. Usually it's not so slow. Okay, what happens when you first come into GDP is you'll see that there are some tabs along the top here. Okay, the first one is lessons, and this is primarily where you're going to be working. Okay, later on in the semester, you might use it a little bit at the beginning of the semester, but later on, you will probably also use this tab, My GDP. Okay, but right now, today, we're going to primarily focus on lessons. Okay. In this semester, we're going to go through part 1, which is highlighted, which is already open, part 2, and part 3. Okay. The other 3 parts, those are for the next level, for BUSN 123. Okay. So what we have here, if I'm going to go back to part 1, is I set up all of the lessons that I want you to work on. Okay, so it might not be every lesson in the book, and especially later in the semester, it won't be every lesson in the book. And so if it's in the list here, you want to work on it. Okay, if it's not in the list in GDP that is active for you, then you don't need to worry about it. Okay, so we're going to start out in part 1, and we want to go to unit 1. And when we click on Unit 1, what we'll see is all of the different lessons within Unit 1. So to get started, I can either come down here to the bottom right-hand side and I can click on the Next tab, or I can come over here in my lesson listing and then just click on, say, Lesson 1. But I'm going to go ahead and step through using the next tabs. Okay. So what happened when I clicked on next is that it went ahead and it brought me to lesson 1, and it's telling me that we're going to be talking about the home row keys, and these are our goals. And so essentially within this lesson, all you need to do is read what it has to say. Okay, so then I can come down here and click on the next button again. I don't know why this is being so slow. Okay, here we go. So now we're at lesson 1A. And again, within lesson 1A, it says that we're going to be talking about the home row, and it tells you the home row are the keys A, S, D, F, J, K, L, and the semicolon. Okay, and it tells you what you want to do. It tells you how you want to place your fingers. Okay. It also makes a note that on the F and the J key that there's a little raised area so that you can know, so it always helps you come back to the correct home row position. And so you'll see that the first couple of lessons, it's just reading. You're not actually doing anything. So now I'm going to click Next again, and now it's brought me to lesson 1B. Okay, and 1B, again, it's just reading. Now, if I wanted to click on whatever lesson, if I wanted to click on specific lessons, instead of hitting the next or the previous keys, I can come back here to part 1, and I want you to notice, like here next to 1A and 1B, because I've already gone through them, they have a green check next to them. And that means that they have been completed. When you see something with a yellow triangle, it means that it's been started, but it's not complete yet. If you see something without any indicator, any marking in front of it, it means that nothing has been done with it yet. So you haven't started it and you haven't finished it. Okay. The next, so I want to go to 1C. Okay, and so the 1C is telling me, you'll notice that there's instructions here, but you also might see instructions over here on the left-hand side as well. Okay. But what this is telling me here in 1C is that when you see this indicator, it means that you want to hit your Enter key on the keyboard. So if you see it once, you just hit Enter once. If you see it 2 times, you hit Enter 2 times. Okay. If I wanted to go to the previous screen, I can come over here to the left-hand side of the screen and hit Previous, or I go to the right-hand side to hit Next. Okay. So now I'm now at my first actual lesson where I'm going to practice, and you can see over here on the left-hand side under Instructions, it says type each line 1 time, then click Next to move to the next exercise. And so what I want to do is I'm going to place my hands, my fingers on the home row like it told me to do in lessons 1A and 1B. Okay, and so I get my fingers positioned correctly, and I just start typing what I see up above where I am typing in the light blue area. And now I've come to the Enter indicator, so I'm going to use my little finger and I'm going to hit the Enter key. Okay, so I just keep typing. Okay, and I hit Enter twice. Now, if I hit an incorrect key, okay, instead of typing S, I hit a D instead, and notice up here it told me that I need to strike the correct key in order to finish the exercise. So I just typed over it. Okay, and so at the beginning, if you haven't typed much, just take your time and remember that our goals in typing is to look at the copy or what it is that you're typing from and not to look at the keyboard. Okay, and if you're new to typing, you might not be there yet. It might take a while before you can actually do that, but that's the purpose of this course, is to get the practice in. Okay, so now I've completed that, I'll hit the next key. And now it says we're going to look at lesson 1D, and we're going to be concentrating more on the F and the J keys. And if I look at this, if I click on this replay demonstration, you can see the fingers move. Okay, so it's just trying to show you where the F and the J keys are. Okay, so I'll click on Next again. And so now I just want to practice those 2 keys. So F, 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 J, 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 J. Oop. Oh, I can't read. And so when I'm done, it knows when I have completed it, and it tells me to go ahead and hit click next to move to the next screen. But again, instead of clicking next, I can always come over here to my lesson listing, and I could just click on the next lesson if I like. Okay. Now you can see that I have green check marks on 1A through D. And remember that you can always redo a lesson if you want. If there are certain keys that you're having trouble with and you wanted to re-practice them, you can just go back to that exercise and you can retry it. Okay. But I don't want to redo that. So now I'm going to skip down to 1J, which is a 1-minute timed writing. Okay. And so what it tells me over here on the left-hand side is that my goal is I'm going to type for 1 minute, and my goal is to have type 10 words a minute and have 3 or less errors. Okay. And so it tells me I want to take 2 1-minute timed writings. Okay. So I take a timed writing, and if I'm done typing what I see in the book before my 1 minute is up, I just start typing it over again. So I just keep typing until 1 minute is over. Okay, it will, when the timer is up, it will just stop, and then I want to type it again. So if I had typed my 1 minute timed writing, this button, next attempt button, would be active, and I could click on it, and then I'd take my 1 minute time writing a second time. Okay, and it will tell you over here in the left-hand side how you did, both for your first attempt and your second attempt. Okay, and you'll notice that here there's no text for me to type from. So you have to go to your textbook and type what is in the textbook under lesson 1J. Okay, so throughout the semester, throughout the book, you'll sometimes just be using GDP, or sometimes you'll be using your textbook in conjunction with GDP. Okay, so you always have to have your book with you. So now if I want to go to my next lesson, okay, then we get to the enrichment lessons. Okay, so the way that I have them numbered, okay, so under lesson 1, it's 1A through 1H, I, J, and then you go to lesson 1 enrichment, and I have that numbered as 1A, 1B, 1C. Okay? So essentially what I want you to take away from this is that you can move through GDP by hitting the next or the previous buttons, or you can go directly into your lesson list and click on a specific lesson. Remember, you can always retake a lesson if you want. Just go into your lesson list and click on it, and it will bring you back. Make sure you remember if you don't see what you're supposed to type in GDP, then make sure you go to your textbook to see if you see it in there. Okay. The other tab that I had told you we might be using is the My GDP tab. And so this is just kind of gives you an indicator of where you are or what you've completed. So if I click on My GDP, it gives me a list of all of the lessons that I've completed. It gives me the date, when I worked on it, and how much time I spent on it. Now we might not be using that much, like I said, during the first 5 weeks, but then when we get into the word processing portion of the class, we will be using it more. Okay, I think that's about all that I want to talk about in this video, but I just want to let you know the idea of the lessons for the first 5 weeks, it's just going to be practicing typing. Okay, so you can go as fast as you want, but try to stay on the schedule that I have, because otherwise if you get behind, it's going to be really hard to get caught up. If you already are a good typist, this part is going to be a great refresher for you, but it also might be a little bit boring. But it's always good to practice, and it's always good to improve your accuracy and your speed as much as you can. Okay, and I think that's it. In order to exit GDP, You can just come up here to the upper right-hand side and click on Close. And I can say Leave Page. And then you're done. Okay, I hope this helps, and if anybody has any questions or get completely lost, please contact me as soon as possible and we'll try to figure out what's going on. Okay, thank you.